Scarlet Hiltibidal, welcome to Home Row. It's so good to see you again.
It's so good to see you, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
It's been a few years since we recorded an episode. It's been a few years since I've released episodes, but you are one of my favorite writers for many reasons. Number one is you have an unmatched wit and hilariousness
Oh,
that
wow.
I've said for years. If I were building, and I remember saying this on Twitter years and years ago, if I were building a sitcom, a comedy, and I wanted writers, Christian writers. I would Drew Dick would be on there.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
very funny. You would be on there. You are very funny.
Oh, my goodness. I'm so honored.
And then maybe Barnabas Piper because he's very snarky and funny as well. Um,
What a team.
it'd be an Avengers team of Christian comedy, but not only that,
God.
you write with sincerity, authenticity, great gospel hope, and so I'm so excited you've got a brand new book out and you're also I want to say the queen of subtitles.
Oh, God.
Um, you have a lot of great titles. So new book out this week, October 1st when this releases. Hopefulish. Here's a subtitle: Sadness, weariness, donkey attacks. We're going to talk about that. More sadness and any other stuff you need the gospel for. Man, what a title.
Thank you. I've got to give credit to my editor, Ashley Gorman, for the more sadness, which I think makes the whole title. The more sadness is what really makes it a great subtitle, I think. And that was all her. So thank you, Ashley Gorman,
Yeah, shout
who's
out.
been my editor for every book. She's fantastic.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about all of your books, which I don't know if we'll have enough time to go through all of them. You are a prolific writer in books, Bible studies, but you've written Afraid of All the Things, which
Mhm.
is kind of speaks to, does not kind of, it does speak to anxiety and fear and all that, which I've read and listened to. I think I've listened to it twice.
Oh, my
Uh,
goodness.
it's such a great book.
Thank
You're
you.
the worst person in the world. Title of the book, not a statement. My daughter has read the third one. He numbered the pores on my face and the anxious and unashamed Bible studies. Am I missing anything that you've written? Do
No,
you?
it's actually the anxious and ashamed, not unashamed. We're
Oh,
not
my bad.
we're not unashamed over here, we're
Yeah,
ashamed. So,
anxious and ashamed.
no, I was just on a podcast a couple days ago and they said, "Where can we find you?" And I said, "Well, my last name's really hard, but if you just type Scarlett, do your best with my last name and whatever negative emotion you can think of, it'll probably be me." So yeah, maybe it should have been unashamed, but it's ashamed. No,
No,
you
no,
have
no.
not missed anything.
Okay, yeah, and nothing. You're not doing like a Substack or microblogging on Instagram. I don't think you're doing any of that.
I should be doing that, shouldn't I? I don't know what Substacks are. I'm getting old. I'm losing touch with all this stuff.
Okay, okay, yeah. I'm
Substack.
Substack. Okay, so this is a new writing platform, new-ish,
Heard
where
of
it's
it.
newsletters,
Yes,
and it's
I
their
should
own
do
thing.
this.
It's free. It's
Okay.
great, but you got enough going on. I mean, we were talking
Oh,
before we hit record. You've got a new baby.
yeah.
You've moved. I mean, you've got plenty of things going on. You're writing books. I bet you have another one in the hopper. If I'm just guessing, just I bet
Well,
there's another one in the works already.
I should, but I'm gonna tell you this baby is really slowing me down, Jeff. He's really slowing me down. He's the best, but he is a baby. So
Yeah,
I have another one like in the back of my mind, but I have yet to draft any proposals. But I will.
I
And
know
I will
you will.
find out what Substacks are and I will do them.
There we go. You're there.
And I will find my headphones for the next podcast I do.
Okay, so let's dive into Hopefulish. What is the genesis for Hopefulish? I kind of remember some of the background, and I remember seeing something on social media. But what is the genesis of the book, and what is the gist of the book also?
Well, you were just so complimentary and saying that I was funny. And I feel like this is my least funny book. So I feel like I should warn people this is a heavier book. And yes, post COVID, it's not about COVID, but the genesis of the book is the world really changed a few years ago. The last 5 years, for me personally, for everyone I've talked to, changed, whether it be actual COVID, well, what COVID, the aftermath of COVID, we all lost people we loved to sickness and death. I don't know somebody who hasn't. We lost people because they lost jobs, they had to move. Their job loss led to mental health things. It was just this, it was hard. And people like me who like to live in the happy, jokey space, I was wrestling a lot with feeling like that, and I put this in the intro, I think, like the happy, hyper version of me was a slap in the face to this world where, all these not most important, as a believer, this world is not our home, but these very important things like family, career, everything took a hit for everyone, including like, I think of so many people I know who had great careers and suddenly their careers transitioned to Zoom in Christmas pajama pants. And it's like just kind of everything changed. And just, I always just write about what's happening in my life. That's kind of when people are like, why
Yeah.
did you tackle this negative emotion? I'm like, because that's the negative emotion I was trying to work through. But anyway, yeah, my uncle, who was like a father figure to me, died by suicide 2021 after he lost his wonderful career because of COVID, budgeting stuff. He was an
Mm,
architect. And he was engaged for the first time at 60. It didn't work out. So we moved out to California, and he was my only local relative there. I was very close with him, and he died by suicide. And then 16 days later, my grandma Marlene died of
mm,
COVID, pneumonia. And so those were like the trigger things that kind of led me to be fighting for hope as a Christian. Like, okay, I know I'm pressed but not crushed, but I feel crushed. I know I'm not abandoned, but I feel abandoned. And so I was wrestling through all that. But of course, you've written books, like you write a proposal, you give it, it's a long process. So when the time came for me to actually write the book, I discovered my surprise baby with when my oldest, my youngest daughter was 9. So my kids are easy. And I'm just like, everything is easy and good, and I'm going to write a book this year, and it's going to be a peaceful year after all this heartache.
yeah.
And then my mom's cancer returned, stage 4, inoperable, at the same time. And so this book is not as lighthearted. There are funny stories in it, but it's not as lighthearted. um, but it's very honest and it is just wrestling through and asking the question, all of us who live in this world that has changed, we know we have this hope we can cling to. How do we, it's just sharing these stories of what I've gone through and how I've been fighting to cling to it.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
yeah, that's the genesis.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing that I appreciate so much about you, and it's connected to the humor that you have and the wit that you have and all of that, but because there's a common denominator, I think, to both of those, is I tend to find that people that are very funny, people that are great with words, people that have a lot of insight, they're also they can be very transparent, very real. They're connected to hope, they're connected to pain, they're connected to humor. That there's a lot of connection to them, and so I think this. I'm excited to read your book because I think we all need hope and we all need the encouragement of the gospel. And you, throughout all of your books, you tend to keep pointing us back to Christ, pointing us back to hope, back to the gospel. And so I'm excited to see kind of how you bridge these topics, how you point us to Christ. And man, it's something that we need. And you know, we do need hope. And I you've experienced it. And I had no idea you had so many. I think we all had a lot of stuff going on in our lives in the last
Mhm.
5 years. And so I've had some loss as well, some job changes and some deaths in our family, benign tumors, heart problems. I mean, all kinds of things have been going on in our family as well. And so I'm eager to hear from you. So how, as you've written and worked on this book, how do believers reconcile faith with feelings of being overwhelmed, skepticism, doubt? How do we as Christians reconcile the hope of the gospel with the confusion and really alarming things that we're experiencing in our day to day lives?
Hmm. What a question. I don't know. I don't know. Pick up Hopefulish, October 1st. I'm just kidding. That's a very hard question. And the thing that I kept coming back to okay, so in the intro of this book, I was telling my husband, I'm supposed to write about what you just said, Jeff, today. I'm supposed to write about this today to encourage Christians. And like you just said, with our feelings don't always match what we know to be
Yeah,
true,
yeah.
even if we've been walking with the Lord for a long time. So I remember sitting in bed with my husband and our kids, and we were like doing a family devotional book. and praying for each other. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to write this book today, but the deadline is looming and I don't know what to say. And my husband prayed that what did he say? He said, Lord, help Scarlett write this book from your lap. And I held on to that the whole time I wrote it because I
Mm,
thought that is the whole thing that has helped me as I try, as you said, to reconcile the feelings with the what we know to be true. Like I have felt very held in this long,
wow.
stretched out hard season. I think of that Christy Knuckles album, Be Held, which I love. Um, I just, so many times, and I added this into the book. I had an outline of 10 chapters and it wound up being 13 chapters because things kept happening that were unexpected. And I kept noticing that even when I wasn't doing the things I knew I should be doing, by that I mean running and clinging to the Lord in my pain. Like in some of those months, I was hiding from the Lord in my pain. It's not what you should do, but it's like I have this chapter in here about faking your faith and how the enemy would get in my head and like I want to be real with the
Yeah.
Lord. I want to be real with people. I want to be real with the Lord. So it's like here's a tactic of the enemy I think that he's used on me. Like if you go to the spiritual disciplines and the obedience of doing what God says you can do to be close to him, but you're not feeling like doing it. It almost feels inauthentic, but that's not true. That's a lie. So, something that my Christian community that I did stay in the midst of my pain and God's word kept reminding me of is that his presence is real. He is real. And if you're his child, he is going to break into your reality and carry you, even if you're not clinging to him with the most strength you've ever had. So, for example, and this is not in the book, but this is just one example of a million things that happened in the season. I remember being at church with my brand new baby struggling with all this stuff. And I was thinking about how the man a few rows ahead of me was coughing, and my baby was very newborn. And I was like, that man is going to want to hold this baby. Maybe I should sneak out during the last worship song so that he won't hold this baby and get him sick. That's where I was supposed to be worshiping, but that's what I was thinking about. Well, I remember and I don't have a ton of these moments. Okay. I'm not like super charismatic world person, but God does whatever he wants. And I was just thinking about that stuff instead of worshiping. And then the Holy Spirit said to my spirit, you're going to pray for Amanda. He wasn't like, why aren't you paying attention? Why aren't you worshiping me? It was just like he broke through, even though I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing,
Mm,
and just let me in on like, hey, I'm going to use you for something right now. And so I like sense that he says that. And then I feel a hand on my shoulder and I start crying because I'm like, I bet that that's Amanda. And I turn around and she's crying and she wants me to pray for her in regards to very similar feelings that I had just been wrestling with.
wow.
And it was so beautiful and just such a good reminder to me of what this whole book is about. And I think that I'm so long winded, but the answer to your question is if you're a child of God, hope is a gift and his presence is a gift. And yes, we need to be in our Bibles, we need to be in community, we need to be communicating with and having a relationship with God, or we will shrivel up and be miserable and hopeless feeling. But the Lord is also so kind to just break into our world, even when we're walking in disobedience, even when we're distracted. And then it just kind of stirs up our affection and our love because we're like, oh my goodness, he's real. He's there, even when, you
Yeah.
know? Um, so that's kind of the answer that I found as I worked through this in my weakness for myself anyway. What do you think,
Oh,
Jeff?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes I think so much about Psalm 56. Psalm 56 continues to serve me in so many ways. And when David says, when I am afraid, I'll put my trust in you, in God whose word I praise.
Hmm.
And I remember using that psalm, grabbing it and using it like a lozenge so many times in my life, just having to meditate on it. And from times, even the first time I went skiing as an adult, I'd never been skiing. And I'm going up this lift and I was mortified where like it was rickety and all this kind of stuff. Like I had a physical response. I was in sub-zero temperatures and I was
Hmm.
sweating. And I just remember Psalm 56. Lord, I am afraid. I need to put my trust in you like right now. This David had bigger stuff going on than me on a ski lift, and like okay,
This is so hard,
yeah. I'm like, this is not that big a deal, but I am afraid.
but I'm afraid. Yes.
It's not like, well, a legitimate fear.
Right.
And I even love that the psalm goes, when I am afraid, I will it doesn't say when I'm afraid, I will tell myself, don't be afraid,
Right.
but that the occasion for fear is the propulsion into trust.
Mm.
And I think the same thing, that when we are grieved and we're anxious, that those are going to be catalysts for us to respond in faith of like, Lord, help me. Don't,
Yeah.
because we're not fixed, but
Right.
we're leaning into him. We're writing from his lap, leaning on him like, Lord, please serve me. Please help
Yeah.
me. Please deliver me.
But you're right. You've got to, like, it's not like you've got to take action so that you can receive the hope. But if you don't put yourself in a position to receive the hope, you will believe that you
Yeah.
are hopeless. So, like, if
Yeah.
I had not, my mind was not in the right place in that worship service, but I was in a worship service. It's like, put yourself in the right. That's what I tell people when they're really struggling to cling to the Lord. Like, just go to the small group, go to church, go be with people who have faith, and
Yeah.
borrow their faith when you feel like this.
That's good. That's so good. Let's I want to ask a question here that I think I think it's going to be interesting. Donkey attacks.
Okay.
I don't think I have. I mean, I'm looking around. I have a lot of books on my shelves. Read a lot of books. I don't think I've read anything that has donkey attacks in them.
Well, this one does.
So this one
So,
does. Are you allowed to share
spoiler.
without any spoilers? Um, what is going on during this donkey attack?
Okay, this is a lighter part of the book. But speaking to what we're speaking to, okay, I think the chapter that I talk about the donkey attack in is fake farming, weary worship. I want the real thing, and I've already kind of told you the point of the donkey attack story, which is don't neglect the Lord because you're trying to be real. Like you need him it is oxygen to be in the presence of God. But I started off that chapter talking about our second attempt as farmers. I think we said off the air, we were talking about moves and stuff.
Yeah, I
I've
remember
been
you
a
being a farmer.
I was a farmer and then I moved and then I was a farmer again and then we just moved again. So we've decided to officially retire from trying to be farmers. In fact, as we were like packing up our farm a few months ago, my mom was like, Scarlett, I think you guys are bad farmers. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. I know.
Yeah.
That's why we're moving again. And we just had to give it one more try.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
kudos for
you know,
giving it a try.
we're so happy to not be farmers anymore. Anyway, okay, so the first farm we had chickens. We were pretend farmers. That's what we called ourselves. The second farm, which we moved in onto in 2022, and then we just moved a couple months ago. We were like, we're gonna be legit this time. We're not gonna be pretend. So we got donkeys because that's real. We got
Wow.
pigs, Jeff. We were
Wow.
like true farmers. And the arrival of the donkeys felt like an official farm moment. Like we're definitely real. We had a big one to protect the chickens and a little miniature one for cuteness and companionship to the big one. We researched a little bit
Donkeys can
how the
protect chickens?
yes, livestock guardian. So donkeys are like cheap and easy. They're not like horses. They're like
Yeah.
horses. They're big, but they scare away hawks and coyotes and stuff.
Huh.
And we did not hardly ever lose any chickens, so it worked. That
Wow.
part worked.
Okay.
But okay, so the miniature donkey for cuteness and companionship to the big donkey. Um, we were trying to, it was right when they'd gotten there, we were trying to keep them by their water source. And the gate hadn't arrived. It was arriving the next day. So I was like, I'm a farmer, a real one this time. I'm MacGyver. I'm Old MacDonald. I'm going to build a gate out of what I have. That's
Oh
what a real
man.
farmer would do. So I got extension cords and moving blankets and I made a gate and I was
What
so
a
proud of
gate.
myself. I know. And it worked a little bit for a little while. But then the miniature donkey got away into the big field. So my youngest daughter and I are chasing him, trying to chase him back. And this donkey starts charging at us like full force, yeehawing like a cartoon in English, like yeehaw, yeehaw, practically foaming at the mouth.
Uh
Our lives, like you on the ski lift. I know this sounds like, and we can laugh about it now, but it was very scary.
yeah, I'm
So I'm
sure.
like, run, and we're running away from this donkey. We were fine. That donkey did pass away
The donkey
shortly.
dies.
I didn't include that in the book. I don't even know why. I don't know if we bought a sick donkey.
A
Listen,
rabid, sick,
we
out
did
of his
we did our
mind
best.
donkey. Yeah.
We tried. But anyway, all
Oh.
of that to say that that's the story. And everybody was fine. It leads me into talking about farm life and how sometimes I don't feel like being a farmer, but if I don't go out there and fill up the water trough, then they're going to die. And similarly, as believers, if we, I started this book talking about my uncle's suicide. He had lost everything earthly important to him. He was not connected in a church. He was not in a friend group. It's so vital to not just cling to God's word, but to do what it says, even when we don't feel like doing what it says, because God loves us and he gives us his word and he shows us how to live because he wants us to thrive even in this broken, difficult world. So
Yeah. Wow.
donkey attacks. That's the story.
Donkey attacks. Wow. Yeah, him, the donkey. I mean, how miniature are we talking about
Mm,
donkey?
the
2 feet
size of
tall?
a
Is
the size
that
of
way
a
too?
miniature donkey. I
Three
don't know.
feet tall? Is it
Um,
meters? I'm sorry, I don't know what the farm
I'm
measurements.
not good at estimates. If
Yeah.
you thought of a regular donkey,
Yeah.
then shrink it by like two, something. I am
And
terrible
half?
at
I think
my brain can't do these
Yeah,
conversations.
I think
I
the
am not.
math of shrinking a donkey is beyond our expertise. One of the things that's so great about having writers on the show and talk about writing is obviously you've written multiple books, you've published multiple things. You're a great writer. I think you have a beautiful way with words and word pictures, and obviously listeners can tell if they've not even read any of your books yet that you are a very transparent. Um, it's so buzzy. I even hate using the word authentic,
I'll tick.
which you are. So is that something that you just have decided to do, or it's natural? So we'll go from that. And the second part of the question is, how do you navigate is this too much? Should
Hmm.
I share this? Like, how can people grow in being authentic without being too much?
It's so fun to talk to other writers who care about these, all the nitty-gritty. Okay. The answer is I don't feel like I have a choice. I think my mom raised me and she is hard on her sleeve and like that's all I've ever been. And so personally with my own pain and life, I have never even given it a thought. Like it's just how I'm wired. Now, I care deeply about other people being affected. And that's a thing where when you write or share your life, like you could hurt other people or share things they don't. So I'm very careful, always have been, about writing about my kids, writing about anyone in my life that I love. I ask them about it. I tell them I want to do
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
I've had stories or things where my girls have been like, no, mommy, I don't want you. I mean, even on Instagram, I'm very careful about anything I put out there. Like my husband, who's my secret weapon editor, doesn't just edit my books and articles. Like I send him on text, it'll say post. I'm always worried that I'm going to accidentally post something that says post or caption
right,
because
right.
I am so careful about, I don't want to say anything that is, that would hurt somebody or comes off wrong and sometimes I'll want to post something or write something that my husband's like, the tone of that, let's not, I don't think so. And I really value his opinion. And so, um, yeah, that's how I decide. I never put anything out there without a filter, another person as a filter. And if I'm writing about someone, I make sure I run it by them. Or if I'm writing about, I mean, you can't do that for everything. There's some stories in here that I'm like, okay, I want to write about this. It involves someone else. How can I be vague enough to where it would not put
Right.
any
Yeah.
identifying information about that person? So I'll do that too. But as far as like the emotions and the hard feelings, I just don't. And I'm sure someday in therapy, my kids will go to therapy and be like, "Mommy, I wish that you hadn't been so open with us about whatever." But I don't know. My whole ministry and testimony was kind of rooted out of, and you know this, but just being in a room with a bunch of Christian women, pastors' wives, and meeting a woman who talked about how she ran her home, and I had my first baby at the time, and it was so influential in how I live my life because she said her goal was to live the God. I'm sorry, I know you've heard me say
No, no,
this
no,
a
no.
bunch
Go
of times,
ahead.
but it's just so important in my filter of how I share things. But she just said, my goal in life is to live the gospel out. So that means when I fail, I can still point to the cross. Like Jesus died. If I have little kids at home, I can say, I'm sorry. I can own my sin. This is what we do with our sin. This is how we repent. This is whatever.
Yeah.
And just in any relationship, if you're living the gospel out, you don't have to despair when you fail, because we all fail. You can repent and turn from it and then walk in joy. And if you have a win, it's not you. You're not super awesome. It's the Holy Spirit working through you. So then that keeps you, not cocky. And so, she said it differently, but it really affected me. And that is how I try to live in my home, just being very open. I want my kids to see me genuinely walking with the Lord. And even when I'm not doing great, I want them to see me clinging to him and not turning away from him. And if I do turn away from him, repenting of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Amen. Yeah.
I take that, I think, into what I share publicly, but it is I'm very insecure feeling whenever a book is about to come out, especially this one, because it is the harder, darker feelings. Maybe, I mean, anxiety, shame, those are very hard things too, but this one was so heavy. And so I definitely, we're at a new church in a new town, and our pastor's wife was like, "Oh, I pre-ordered Hopefulish." And I was like,
Oh no.
"That's great."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Can you start like this is an anthology with Afraid of All the Things?" Because I feel like if you're getting to know me, let's like start there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because it is being uh authentic is yeah, it's a little scary, but then it's out there for a while and you're like, okay, it's out there.
Yeah, I know what you mean exactly. When I don't share a ton of stories. I think your writing and your transparency and vulnerability and connection to the gospel, using illustrations and stories from your own life, that's something I need to grow in more. I can be just very like, let me teach this truth and explain it and give a Spurgeon quote and then move on.
That is so needed and valuable though too. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
different ways.
but people connect with your writing more than they connect with mine, and I think part of it is you're a gifted writer and you speak to real life, and I think the kind of overly preachy, overly didactic kind of stuff, we need that, but also to serve people who are living in their stories, that to show how, hey, let me show you how this has affected my life. I've done it a little, not as much. My editors do push me and go, hey,
Mm,
will you tell a story here? Do you have any stories here?
yes.
We need a story. And my daughter now, she's a teenager, and they go to a private Christian school, a
Mhm.
little classical school here, and they go over doctrine, all this kinds of stuff. And like some of her friends are like, "Oh, we want to read Humble Calvinism," my book that came out in 2019.
Mhm.
And I share some stories in there of different sins and things when I was a teenager, and I'm like, "Oh man, I wish I wouldn't have written about that. I wish I wouldn't have put that in there."
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, we have there's no condemnation for those of us that are in Christ Jesus. There's the
Yeah.
hope of the gospel. There's no shame. Yeah, this is what happened. Like,
Mm,
this is how God ministered to me and saved me out of these
mhm.
things. And so
Yeah.
I wrestle with that too. But your writing is an encouragement, I think, to
Yeah.
many writers to continue to be honest and be transparent. And I think you
Thank
do that
you.
very well. Okay, so you mentioned your testimony, kind of connected to that, but how did you know? I know I probably asked you this on the last time you were on the show too, years and years ago. How did you know you wanted to be a writer?
Hmm. I knew when I was in third grade, and for free time, there were little white books with lines on them. And our teacher said, "You can write stories in these books." And I did all the time, and I loved it. And it was just like, okay. And I had a couple teachers who said, "You're a good writer." When you're young and
Yeah.
you are trying to figure out what you like. And I liked doing it. And I was encouraged by my English teachers, who I still keep in touch with to this day.
Wow.
Seriously. Like my fifth grader, she's in a Christian school now too, and she or her thing is like a hybrid thing. You don't need to know that. I'm just rambling. Anyway, she's reading Island of the Blue Dolphins, and my fifth grade teacher still calls. Like, I'll post about a new book I have coming out on Facebook, and my fifth grade teacher will say, "You will always be my Island of the Blue Dolphins girl." Like,
Wow.
when I was that young, I was reading books and like, oh, and learning. And then as I got older, reading books that were funny and like, oh, you can be funny in a book. So I always knew I was just one of those one track mind. This is what I want to do with my life. In college, I took every writing class they offered. And then in my 20s, I went to Barnes and Noble, and, because the internet wasn't quite what it is today. It
No.
was still there, but it wasn't as easy to find everything. And so I bought those thick Jeff Herman's Guide to Literary Agents and Publishers, what they want and how to get their attention. And I studied the publishers in America, and I tailored query letters to each one. And I wrote fiction novels that were so bad that everybody in America rejected. And so that was the beginning of the process. And then when Jesus changed my life, I'd always just written because that's was my one hobby and my one pursuit, while I worked all these odd jobs, you know. And then I just started writing about Jesus. And then it was like the right a singer singing on the right street corner and the right person walks by. And it kind of snowballed from there when a blog that 5 people read that my friend reposted was seen by her middle school friend who grew up to be a publisher at HarperCollins and like reached out to me to do freelance work for. I mean, it was just like it snowballed from there. So it feels very much like a lot of trying and failing, and then a lot of luck slash God's providence, you know, and a lot of God not allowing my dreams to come true until I stopped making it solely about me meeting this goal, you know,
Yeah.
and started actually having something to
Wow.
say because he actually changed my life. So.
Wow. So it's so encouraging. I hear from people that love hearing the background stories of how people became writers, and just the things that God is doing, and all of our different stories, and how He weaves them together and brings in the right person, the right email, that just an encouragement to write and
Yeah.
and to get going. And so, okay, now let's dive into, okay, the calling to be a writer. We did that. Now you are a writer. You're a published author. What? And this might be helpful, especially because I think people have this vision of being a writer is like, I gotta have the right space, the right ambiance, the right tools, and I gotta have the log cabin, all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. You are writing books in different contexts, different stages of life, different number of kids, different ages of kids, different places in the United States. Uh,
Mhm.
Pregnant, then with a child, in your, I mean, all kinds of different stuff. So, what does Scarlett's writing routines and habits and look like when you're working
Mhm.
on a project?
This is such a fun podcast. Yeah, certainly no log cabins, certainly no ambiance. You know, it's looked different in different stages, just like you said. I think probably last time, I don't remember last time I talked about writing with you, but probably at that time I had a lot more free time and flexibility. I remember every book that came out, my husband would send me to a hotel for a night or two to just like knock out a chunk, you know. But in life, I would just, in my before I had kids, I would get home from work and then I would just write till I went to sleep like a crazy obsessed person. So I had that season where I just that's all that I
Yeah.
did. But then I got I have 4 children, and I do not have the luxury of any free time at this point in my life. So it's so funny. I did have a little bit before baby James was born. So in that stage, probably last time we talked, I would just in the margins, I was a late night person, so I would just stay up late, and that's what I would do when everyone was asleep and in bed. And then in 2019, I had my thyroid out, and so then I needed to sleep like I finally my whatever thyroid problem I had that was giving me the gift of all these hours. It was not a gift. I'm sure I couldn't have lived very long on no sleep,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I lost that chunk of time when my thyroid got regulated. So now it's just like I have deadlines on my calendar and I just do what I got to do. So my family understands. There are seasons when it's like, okay, mom's book is due in 3 weeks. So we're going to be having a huge pile of clean laundry in the laundry room and we're going to pick out what we need when we need it. Like
Yeah.
it's
That's
just
real.
everybody gets it. And then this last book, I was hugely pregnant and our house was truly horrible because I was a very sick pregnant person and I had the deadline. And I remember saying to Brandon, I was like, Brandon, I wish I could hire, like, you can't even hire a cleaner for this. Like, what I need is someone who can just do everything in life. We've got to edit this book. He always helps me. So it was like, it was Labor Day of last year and our daughters are older. So I was like, so my husband was like, let's hire our daughters by the hour. They don't have to do it, but it's, money motivated for
Yeah.
them. They worked for 8 or 9 hours doing everything in our house while me and Brandon edited my book. And they did a great job. And then they were like, we never want to do this again, but thank you for the cash. So yeah, the answer is I make it work. I don't know. There's no ambiance. You just gotta find time.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think it's pretty similar. I'm not pregnant. When I do stuff, I don't do the laundry. I do the dishes, but I get to work from home, so I have a
Hmm.
nice space here. But I've written other books on planes.
Hmm.
I've written books on I've seriously planes, and I've been on trains, and I've worked
Okay.
on books, and automobiles. Funny
You've done
movie,
it.
but I've worked in people's living rooms that I barely know. After
Hmm.
I'm staying at their house and I'm on their couch, I'm typing, working away. It is just kind of the where am I, and I'll just
Hmm.
write.
Yeah.
I posted something on Instagram the other day. Like I signed on for 3 books while doing my PhD,
Wow.
and
Wow.
I wrote 2 of them while doing that. And people asked me, "How did you do it?" I said, I don't know. I had
Yeah.
to like sit and really think about it. I was in such a just produce mode that any
Uh-huh.
free time I had, I was
Hmm.
writing, I was researching, even if it's only 30 minutes while I'm waiting for my son to finish his basketball practice.
Hmm.
I spent an hour and a half in the car waiting for my daughter's soccer practice to finish, and I'm
Hmm.
writing. And so even in games during that season, if my daughter wasn't playing, she's on the
Hmm.
bench, I'm reading.
Hmm.
I'm researching. As soon as she comes on, Natalie would tell me, my wife should say, "Hey, she's on." I put my book down and I would watch.
Yeah.
Like
That's so real.
I was
Yeah.
just doing whatever I need to do to get it done. And I think some of it is too, like I don't, and maybe I'm an oddball here. Maybe you could help me, but I don't really have any hobbies.
Me either.
I don't hunt.
Yeah.
I don't fish. Natalie
Hmm.
fishes. She's actually fishing right now.
I've seen pictures.
It's
Very
crazy.
impressive. Your wife is
She's
unbelievable.
awesome. And she's going to love that she's getting shout outs here. Yeah. I mean,
She's
she's
a really
catching
good one.
giant marlin and tuna. And
Yeah.
people are always like, do you do that with her? Are you the one taking the picture? I'm
You're
like,
in the car with your books and your
yeah.
computer.
I'm catching quotes. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. But I'm an avid indoorsman, Scarlett. I don't
Oh, it's great.
I was built for people always ask, like, if you could live in any time period, which one would it be? I'm
Yeah.
like, this one.
Air
Uh
conditioning one. Yeah.
Indoor plumbing, air conditioning, pour
Yeah.
over coffee. I mean, this is
Mm.
what I was made for.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I don't hunt, I don't golf, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. It's like
Yeah.
I like to write.
So the answer is have no hobbies and just write all the time. That's the answer. Have you done any of this, like talk to texting into a note on your phone, some of your book, and then just going back and editing it later? Because I
No.
think I've definitely done a little bit of that.
How's that experience been?
Not great. I mean, it's not great,
Not great.
but if you have a looming, or like I write articles for some magazines every month. I've got like these, what do you call consistent deadlines that are just short. I do that all the time where I'll just be in a pickup line waiting for one of my kids at school. And a big part of this is maybe part of my book process too. No, it's definitely part of my book process because a lot of times I'll write articles and then like remember them to use to spring off of for a book later. But I just go through, I take pictures of everything. My mom was the same way, my grandma was the same way. And I know this culture is like the same way, but we are to the maximum historians of our family. We
Wow.
document everything. And so when I need an idea because I have 2 to 3 article deadlines where I'm supposed to share something personal and point to the gospel every month. And so because I document everything, I just scroll through my photos if I'm like waiting on a kid. And and it reminds me of things that are happening. And so then I'll take it from there.
Yeah.
And sometimes I will just voice voice to type something to get me started. And then later when I have time, I can sit
Ah,
down. But I've written full articles from my phone when I was,
yeah.
nap trapped by a baby. Like just, okay, we got to get this done. So I'm going to do it. It's definitely not a pleasant experience, but in a pinch,
Right. Yeah. No, that's good to get it done. I think that's the difference. You do whatever you can do whatever you have to do to get it done. I think that's why when people are like, "Oh, I want to write," and you ask them, "Well, what are you writing now?" and it's
yeah,
nothing.
right,
It's typically like, "Oh, you want to be published. You
right.
you want to have a book with your name on it," which is cool and fun, but
Yeah,
very few people start there. Like there's
yeah.
there's a long process of things.
You've got to write a lot of bad stuff that nobody wants to read
Yes.
before you write something good that somebody. What is Anne Lamott and her SHITTY rough
Hmm.
drafts? Listen,
Yeah.
I had to read that in Bible college, so that's why
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
citing with the bad word. But it's about how you have to write bad if you're gonna get the
Okay,
refs
so
to.
let's think about that. When you are writing, do you Are you the vomit style writer? Like, I'm just going to get it all out there and then I'll go back and edit along the way. You and Brain are going to go back and tweak,
Mhm.
or do you kind of choppy couple sentences? I'm gonna fix that. Okay, now I can keep the ball rolling. I'm the second. I
Okay.
I kind of craft the sentence as I'm going. I'm getting the alliteration, how I'm going. I'm getting the right word or
Mm,
word picture. I got the M dash, which is just so criminal that if you use
I
an M
know.
dash now, people think it's Chat GPT.
I
Like,
know. I've really had to cut back on
yeah,
those.
I overuse them.
Me
Um,
too.
so okay, so are you? It sounds like I'm guessing you might be more the first, the vomit style, and go back and fix them.
Wrong style. Well, first of all, I'm amazed that you are the second style with all that you've written and having a PhD, because my husband is the way that you are. My husband's a great writer, but he doesn't produce anything because he is so meticulous. Now he writes sermons. He's a preacher. So
Yeah, just
he
tough.
does get through those. But if he has to like sit down to write an article, which is very rare for him, but he used to work in Christian publishing, so he would do it more often. He would labor over every word, and then the product would be wonderful, but it would take him forever. So I just don't know. I'm amazed that you're able to write books if that's how if
Yeah,
you do it word by word. No, I'm definitely vomit style. It's such a terrible way of saying it.
it is. I need
Um,
another metaphor.
a different metaphor, but I mean that's the right metaphor. But for books, I always, I have an outline first, so I know basically some of the stories that I want to tell and the points that I want to make. So like for this last book, I would kind of set it up like chapter 1 blah blah blah, and then start vomit style writing, and then kind of get stuck, and then move on to chapter 5 because you know am
Yeah,
inspired to
yeah.
write. So not only am I vomit style, but I'm also like just throwing paint at the wall style in the beginning of it. And then the deadline gets closer, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta finish
Got
chapter
to tighten
1.
this up. Yeah, yeah.
Gotta tighten this up. So then I go back and then I finish it, and I would still probably call it vomit style. And then by the time I think that by the time I'm finished with a chapter or two, then I start really going over it line by line and trying to make it
Yeah,
better. And then I have
it's
my
good.
secret weapon, Brandon, who really helps. And then I have
It's
my
nice.
other not secret weapon, Ashley Gorman, who she added so much beauty to Hopefulish. Like you said that you're less on the personal stories and more on the rich theology. And I'm opposite. I need people like Ashley Gorman to, the editors and Brandon, my preacher husband, will be like, "Oh, you got to add this in." So some of the illustrations, even in Hopefulish, he's like, "When I preached about this thing, you should talk about that."
Mm.
So we got to borrow from each other
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. What a
And I
gift.
I always like to give him credit, but sometimes he's like, "No, no, don't give me credit. Just take that one."
Oh, what
Okay.
a gift. Yeah, that's
Oh
amazing.
yeah, he's the best.
Okay, so
Anyway.
when you are writing, let's go back to you were talking into your phone or saving your ideas. So like I have a program where I'm just like jotting ideas down quickly and I'll go back for like Substacks, for newsletters, blogs or whatever. Like even if I'm just reading and do my daily Bible reading, like I read in Hebrews the other day about how Christ is our anchor and how he's
Mhm.
ascended to the heavenly places. And I thought that's very interesting that he's described as an anchor when anchors go down, but he is up. So I
Never
wanted to
thought
write a
about
little
that.
meditation on how our anchor is up, how he's anchoring us to heaven. Um,
Wow.
you
I
know,
love that.
so it's like that kind of tether, like we're anchored somewhere else. So I wanted to do a little meditation on that. So when you get ideas, are you putting them in Apple Notes? When you're doing that talk to text, where are you doing all this?
I have my notes. You know how people say, if anyone ever found my email drafts or my notes, I'd be
Oh
so
man,
embarrassed. My notes are unorganized, they're a mess, but you can search by. So I have a couple of them probably from years past that are article ideas, book ideas. And then if they come, then that's where they go. Or sometimes I'll just put it on if I know I'm going to write something soon or it's due soon, then I'll just put it on my actual phone reminders. Like,
okay, yeah,
remember this, and just a couple words to remind me. Yeah, I wish I had maybe someday I'll be more, maybe when I don't have so many children and a baby, maybe when they're older and I
yeah,
can like have time to have a more organized system. But it's working right now
yeah.
thanks
So you're
to
doing
all this
great.
technology.
Yeah, yeah, you're
If the
doing great.
phone's shut down, I'm doomed.
That would
No
be a sad.
pictures, no voice notes, no reminders. I don't know what I'll do, but
Yeah, that would be a sad thing to happen for many writers. Okay, now when you do write, are you beginning in Microsoft Word or is like another third party? Like I use another program to kind of get drafts, and then when editors get
Hmm,
involved, I move over to Microsoft Word or Google Docs depending on the project.
yeah.
Where are you beginning?
I have pretty much completely switched over to Google Docs. The last couple books, Microsoft Word is what my publisher used, and so I would start in Docs, especially because my husband helps me with everything and he prefers to work that way. So I would always draft everything in Google Docs. And then he and I would go back and forth. And then I would, I would save it as a Microsoft Word document. And then
Yeah.
my publisher would put notes through Word. But now, even if they use Word, you can open their notes in Google Docs. So I just strictly use Google Docs now.
Yeah. It's a great app. It's a great system. I think more people should use it, especially if you're going to have editors involved and other people's where you can see that and track changes and make
Yeah.
suggestions and all. It's great. And it syncs anywhere. You can pull it up on your phone. I love that kind of stuff. And I think more writers need to. I just don't like beginning at Microsoft Word. I think it's horrible.
I actually just ended my subscription recently. I'm like, I don't use this ever anymore. I
Nice.
had one just for projects, and I'm like, okay,
It's done.
sorry, Microsoft, it's done. Yeah.
See ya. Yeah, and then
Probably.
I opened up Word the other day and like it had a AI thing like right away, like begin this with AI. I'm like, no, I don't want to begin
Mhm.
this with Copilot. I don't need
Yeah.
a Copilot
Yeah.
here. Yeah, get out of my life, AI. Okay, let's go to. I mean, I think I'm watching the time here. I know you and I think we could talk about writing for a really long time, but I love exploring different things that writers are doing. And so one way we'll do this now, we'll end it this way, is with the rapid fire questions. And
Okay.
so before we go there, so listeners, be sure to go check out Hopefulish, Scarlett's brand new book. You can go pick up her other great books as well. I strongly want to recommend Afraid of All the Things. I think you'll really be blessed by it, as I have been, and so has my wife and my daughter. And he numbered the pores on our faces, not our faces. He numbered the pores on my face. I only have one face. So go check out the books. Go check out Hopefulish, and I'm excited. I'm excited to read it as well. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
A great book you've read recently that you want to recommend.
Ooh. Can I do one that I'm currently reading,
Of
or should I
course.
not do that?
Yeah, if
So
you're
I'll
comfortable.
recommend it and preface it by saying it might all be
It might fall
horrible and
apart at the
downhill.
end and be horrible and heretical, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, it's not heretical.
Don't get
It's
canceled,
It's
Scarlett.
Bob Newhart's Bob Newhart's memoir.
Oh yeah, you don't know about that
Wonderful. I
secret
shouldn't
thing in his
even be
life.
doing this.
Yeah, wait till the end.
He's just funny. I told my husband, so I heard Nate Bargatze, who is one of my favorite comedians. I'm sure he's one of
Oh,
all Christians'
yeah.
favorite comedians because it's so hard to find a truly funny, clean Christian comedian. I mean, I don't know what his faith life is like, but his comedy is mwah. Anyway, I heard him in an interview no, I think it was Conan who compared him to Bob Newhart. And so I was like, oh, I've got a Bob Newhart book on my bookshelf that I've
Huh.
never read. So I'm reading that and really enjoying it because I haven't read just a fun book like that in a really long time.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
cool.
and what was the most recent, like not super fun? I don't even remember. My brain. What was the last Christian? I really loved recently Christine Hoover's You Are Not Forgotten. And this might be kind of I'm trying to think. Is this like for women only? I don't think so.
No.
But I love her and I really liked that book recently. You
Yeah,
Are Not
cool.
Forgotten. Yeah, Bob Newhart, Christine
Bob
Hoover.
Newhart. Okay, I didn't know that Bob Newhart had a. Is it a autobiography or
It's an
Okay.
autobiography and it's not new. It's not new, but it's not super old because I mean, I guess it's pretty old, but he mentions because he was an elf. I forgot he was an elf, the
Yeah.
movie
Oh
Elf.
wow. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's just he's funny. Oh, but I was telling my husband some of his humor I think was just before my time, and so I would reread. Some of it is like bits that he's done, you know, a million years ago before I was born. I'm like, I don't
I
understand
get it.
this.
Yeah, he was a big deal.
No matter how many times I read it, but I bet I would have if I was in his era.
Okay. Favorite candy.
Oh, sorry, this was rapid fire. That was such a
That's
long
okay.
answer. Okay,
That one tends to be a little bit longer. That happens.
now rapid fire.
Yeah.
Hot tamales.
Oh,
Or
first
no,
mention.
sorry,
Okay.
just kidding. York peppermint patties are what I'm all about right now.
Man, you flew up in the rankings of candy recommendation with the hot tamales and crashed
Okay.
and burned.
Oh man.
Wrong answer. Wrong
Okay.
answer. Yeah, no.
Okay.
I
Sorry.
don't think I've ever actually seen anyone ever eat a York peppermint patty either.
I eat them every day. It's part of my ritual. I eat 2 to 4 to sometimes 6
Are you being
York
serious?
peppermint
Every
patties.
day?
I promise you, I'm on a kick right now.
Man,
I have a party size
you can't
bag
hide
in my
money. Can't
pantry.
hide those book royalties. That York peppermint patty money you got. Okay, pen or pencil when you write?
Pen always.
Pen. Fountain or Bic?
Bic.
I know. No one uses fountain. Only me and Don Whitney in the The select few are out there with our
My
fountain.
husband loves a fountain pen.
Oh,
But
come on, Brandon, let's go.
I know.
Okay, laptop or notebook when you're sketching like your outlines to write.
Laptop for sure.
Quiet room or background noise. I'm guessing it's got to be background noise. It's just because of your
Yeah,
life right now. Yeah.
yeah. But even when I've written books in Starbucks, and I like background noise.
Music or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
No
Words?
lyrics.
No lyrics. Yeah. Instrumentals?
Yes.
Yeah. Early morning or late night? Yeah, I know you were
Late
late
night.
night before.
Still,
Still late night?
yeah.
Okay. Outline or freestyle? Now, book chapters I know are going to be outlined. They got to be because
Yeah.
we're not maniacs. But let's say your articles.
I have to say, well, those are freestyle, but I switched. I used to be freestyle and that produced low quality content.
Yeah.
And I don't love organization, but I just think you have to be
Got to do it.
organized.
And
You got to do it.
it helps like this is a principle that helped me in the PhD program, helped me in article writing for TGC or just whatever it may be, my own. If I have 3 headings and I
Mhm.
know that this chapter has to be 3,000 words, like, well, I have 3 headings. I'll do intro and conclusion. If I just
Mhm.
write 1,000 words on each heading, I'm good to go.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
you're writing an article, 1,000 word
Yeah.
article, I have 4 headings. Well,
Mhm.
200 words is you're almost there. Like then with that little intro, like if you break it down into the heading chunks, you can get a
Mhm.
lot done.
Yeah.
Okay. One big writing session or lots of short ones.
Lots of short ones.
Okay, you can only grab one book. Theology or biography. You're taking it with you on the road or on vacation or whatever. Which one are you going to grab?
The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis.
Oh, okay. Great. Love it.
And not funny. My favorite book of all time, though, for sure.
Really? I
Yeah.
just finished reading The Myth Makers. Have you seen this book?
No, I've seen it, but I haven't read it.
Oh, graphic novel by John Hendricks on kind of the history and story and relationship of the Inklings, but primarily Tolkien and Lewis.
Mm.
I learned so much about their friendship. I learned so much about them. Where I thought this is really amazing. So
Wow.
that's my okay. Physical book or ebook?
Mm. It doesn't matter. Either one.
Either one. Hi-
Physical.
Physical. Okay.
Yeah.
Highlight or underline when you're reading?
Mm. Underline.
Same. Footnotes or endnotes?
Footnotes for sure. I love a funny footnote at the bottom of a page.
It is fun. It is fun.
Yeah.
It's like a little inside. It's like a little joke, a little
A
inside
little
joke
inside joke.
for
Yes.
writers. Okay. Fill in the blank. Every Christian writer should what?
Mm. Uh, every Christian writer should read their Bible and do what it says. Every Christian should do those things.
Yeah, I love it. Walking with Christ. Just keep walking with him. Keep doing it. Well, Scarlett, is there anything you would like to say to people who are aspiring writers? Any encouragement you want to give as we wrap up here at the end?
Yeah, I would say it's so amazing how God uses everything in our lives, failure, everything. So don't be discouraged. And if you want to be a writer, like Jeff said, just write and live and let the Lord gets to decide what happens with what you write. So trust him with that. And the writing process is my favorite part, the actual doing of the writing. Like I always get a little sad when I turn a book in, like, oh, it's over. So enjoy the process.
Yeah, it's good advice.
Mm.
Good advice. Because the marketing process is not fun. The writing process is
No,
fun, but
it's hard.
it is hard. Well, Scarlett, thank you so much for coming on Home Row. And listeners, go check out Hopefulish. Anywhere you would point people to follow you on social media or anything like that, or your future Substack you're going to
Yeah.
start?
Future, yeah, look up, put Scarlet Substack. Nothing will show up. Scarlet Hiltibidal, wherever. Just good luck with my last name. You'll find me.
Boom.
Instagram's my favorite still.
There it is. There it is. Thank you, listeners. And remember, let's keep writing.